Hello, this is Shan Chandrasekhar welcoming you to another delightful part of our programming. We have an extraordinarily distinguished guest in the studio here with us today. I feel like a kid before Christmas today. I hold him on a pedestal. I think he's an ambassador of music. He's a world-class musician, a man who has won 2 Academy Awards, 2 Grammy Awards, a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, 4 National Film Awards, 15 Filmfare Awards, 13 Filmfare Awards in the South, a Padma Shri, a Padma Bhushan, and he's called the Mozart of Madras. And then Isai Puyal is another big name for him. We are honored to welcome your favorite, the lovable, none other than Mr. A.R. Rahman. A.R., what a pleasure to see you.
Thank you so much.
You haven't changed a bit. In the last few years, while you have won 2 Oscars, all we have been able to do is just keep admiring you, because for us, if we say that what did we accomplish, we moved from Newmarket to Markham. That's all we've done. Meantime, you've moved the whole world around. A.R., tell us about your foundation, because this is an incredible concept that you have developed.
The foundation was started as an aspiration to eradicate poverty. And then we felt like, because we are a musical family and my father had dedicated his life to music and my mom wanted me to be a musician, she actually led me to music. We felt that why don't we start with music, educating underprivileged children, and by this creating them as musical leaders and do things which you know first. And then, so it's been there for almost now 9 to 10 years. And then we have educated, we started something called the Sunshine Orchestra. And so those kids have been educated. And then, of course, we have the KM Conservatory. Mm-hmm. So now these kids they've started playing with us. Mm-hmm. They played in the UN last year when I did the tribute concert for M.S. Subbulakshmiji.
We're doing a special tribute to history of Indian cinema. And when we look at history of Indian cinema, you just said you had done a tribute to M.S. Subbulakshmi, one of the greatest classical singers of India. And there is a connection for me personally, because my father was the first person to introduce M.S. Subbulakshmi on screen in a movie called Seva Sadan.
Do you have it?
It's probably with the Institute of Film Technology.
Okay.
They may have an old print. It's black and white. It's in the archives probably. Unfortunately, I don't. I have his films after the film Tyaga Bhumi and things like that. Pavala Kodi and some of these, Tyagaraja Bhagavatar's first movie, MGR's earlier first movie, all those kind of things, information. But talking of the history of Indian cinema, you've got a tremendous history because of your father. So tell us about your dad and his association with one of the greatest music directors of India, none other than Salil Da. He was closely associated with him. So tell me about your father and your background there.
My early memories were just that a few recordings which I attended. Uh-huh. And he was mostly an arranger composer. Uh-huh. And he would arrange for other composers too. And when he just came up as a composer, he passed away. Oh. So his aspiration was to have a house. So for that, he had to work really, really hard. He fell ill and all that trauma in my life happened. But I think what he gave me is the goodwill and the aura of him. Mm-hmm. When I went as a kid, played outside, mm-hmm. That was great. To have a dad like that who we can look up to even now, and that people talk about him in a great way, that, oh, your dad he saved my family from poverty because he used me in the recordings. And so he had many bands. Mm-hmm. that's one thing. So you, as a kid, you always look up to, oh, my dad did this so much, I can't be any less. I need to take his legacy forward. So naturally, a son, all sons are hero worshippers of the dad, right?
Sure.
And so that happened.
You've created history, needless to say, because you're the only Indian to win an Oscar. It's an incredible accomplishment.
I mean, music.
The first time you heard that news, how did you feel about it?
The whole thing, I was very numb. I think that if somebody else has taken control, I'm just like a zombie. And because the last a few days before the Oscar, we had a lot of rehearsals because I had to perform 2 songs. And the other artist couldn't come because she was pregnant. MI was almost delivering a baby. So I had to take that part and then sing my part alone. Then, so all these things happened. So for me, it was to not mess up the performance of singing in front of like 1 billion people.
Wow.
Was more concerned than winning an Oscar. So I was like, I have to be in tune. I have to be in thing. If there's this thing, I have to go like this. And there's a routine now too. So I was more concerned about that. When I heard about it, I was numb. I was like, okay, so next, I finished this, let's get on with it. So I couldn't even react to that. If you look at me, I was like, I was prepared for the costume change and other things. It only hit me after everything was over.
And the Oscar goes to A.R. Rahman for Slumdog Millionaire.
That was a fantastic moment. It was a pride not just for you alone, it was a pride for every Indian in every nook and corner of the world. Of course, yeah. You said that. In fact, that's another beautiful thing. So that again, our hearty congratulations there.
Thank you.
Then you performed for some of the most noble events in the world, the Nobel Prize Peace Award. You actually performed there. What a fabulous performance that you had. So tell me about that particular moment. These are all things that others have never been able to do. That's why I'm asking you, okay?
It's a beautiful place, and they're very nice people, and the whole aura of that place, and it's very well organized, of course, and then you don't have to worry about your sound or your performance or anything. So you just have to do your part. And I love places like that, where you just have to do your part and then everything is taken care of.
For you, getting an award has become almost routine. In other words, a person who has received 15 Filmfare Awards, 13 Filmfare Awards in the South, you lost count of it. And plus, of course, there's so many other awards. You've received the Screen Videocon Awards, you've received the IFA Awards. There's not a single award, Sansui Award. Anywhere there's an award, the moment music is involved, then it has got to be a score done by A.R. Rahman that will win the award. Each time you receive an award, whether it is at the Oscar level or whether it is in your local community level in India itself, what kind of extra message and confidence it gives you to keep going forward?
I think I go there just I think I represent the listeners. I represent their trust in me. I represent their taste also. And so when I go there, it's not for me alone. It is for my team who's worked hard. Every engineer who's worked late nights or who's worked very hard to master things or record things, and musicians who have played, singers who have sung, lyricists who have written, directors who are. So I represent all of them and the music, because music is, in film music, music is not only about the composer. It's such a great teamwork. It's the aura of the whole team, which in a way I respect that. And so that's it. So when I go there, I give that respect to the whole team and collect it on behalf.
Your contribution is extremely significant in the history of Indian cinema. because music propelled to a tremendously great height after you started doing music compositions in Indian cinema. There was a complete change, in terms of awareness, in terms of public following. Many years ago, there were great stalwarts in the music industry, in north, south, everywhere. But still, there was an aura that was created by you. Perhaps you attracted the younger generation, the youth, but you created a fantastic movement where music took off in a very big way. Tell me about this transition in the Indian film industry. From the time you got involved, how has this changed?
I think it's not just me. I think I was lucky in a time where the transition was happening, and the audio quality started becoming better. From mono it became stereo. From stereo it became like DTS and Dolby, and all these things came in.
Right.
So we used all the stuff, and now it's gone to virtual reality.
Yeah.
And virtual reality is a completely different ballgame, and I'm so excited that I'm part of it, and we are making a movie in virtual reality.
Congratulations on this movie, by the way. Tell me about this movie, this venture. This sounds very exciting.
I think virtual reality is picking up, and people are investing billions of dollars in it because it's something which is completely different. It's an extension of what we experience on 2D. But it brings probably 20 times more closer, or 30 times more closer, the subject and the whole immersiveness of what. So no more, I always find that when you're watching a movie, people are looking at their phones, they're talking, and in this you can't. You just put it, you are completely immersed. You can't even look at Facebook or Twitter, and at least till now. Maybe they'll introduce all those features later and mess it up. But right now the sense of undivided attention on what you're watching. So you have to be responsible as a content creator, as a musician, or as a director, or as a storyteller.
That's terrific. You're a perfectionist when it comes to music.
Try to be.
Many years ago when I met you, you were a personification of modesty, and you haven't changed. You're still very modest, which is wonderful. So again, God bless you for that.
Thank you.
You're extremely technology savvy. You've been embracing technology for years now. You are ahead of the 8 ball all the time. So tell me about this new venture that you recently did with Intel Corporation and yourself.
It's Intel Curie technology, and so they gave me a demo and see whether we can do something on music. So we felt it was the right time. I was touring that time, and I felt like, let's do something with, what if 3 people were there and create sounds on, and it's modal. So it doesn't go out of the mode, because the whole note changes through gesture. And so we tried it. We tried the betas. Now it's much more advanced.